Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for accepting Positive Wellbeing Association's invitation to participate on this platform. Your participation is much appreciated and most welcome. Thank you so much for accepting.
Glad to be able to talk to you.
Thank you, sir. Um, with obviously the current sort of climate that we have of uncertainty and people are obviously taking it a day at a time, I think obviously it's really sort of helpful to look at things that can actually really equip them with a positive mindset. And I must say, yourself has done absolutely immense, profound work, research on clinical psychological issues and taking them that step further, actually making them meaningful and developing absolutely amazing theories. Um, the first question that I'd like to put forward to yourself is that please could you explain your whole sort of concept of the cultivation of the six mindset theory, the Bramit theory that you have developed?
Okay, I'll be happy to explain to you. Now, we must begin with that we are living in a brave new world. The pandemic has changed life, what we used to know. We're now living in a dangerous world. Places of pleasure and enjoyment now become enemy territory. We can get infected anywhere. So the enemy is invisible, it's everywhere. So we are living in a different world, different age. So therefore, what used to work in times of peace and prosperity is no longer adequate. So that's why I've been working hard to develop an extensive part of psychology for times like this. Okay, the old tools of parapsychology are not adequate for times of suffering. So my new science of parapsychology is the science of suffering. Okay, so the resilient mindset is necessary to face this new reality. Now, first of all, tough life is for tough people. So the first requirement is that we have to be tough mentally and emotionally to face the danger every day, to face all the problems every day. Life is not for the faint-hearted, so we need to be tough. This is the first requirement. We need to have courage, to have mental toughness. The second requirement is responsibility because we realize how fragile life is,
Yes.
how limited we are. So therefore, we need to assume the responsibility to improve ourselves and to develop our resilient muscle and to exercise to improve our physical health. We need to have a responsible mindset that we are responsible for our well-being. We cannot blame this, blame that, blame the whole wide world. It's not going to help us. Okay. Now the third interesting thing is that quarantine slows everything down. We're so busy rushing here, rushing there. Now we are under lockdown. So we're forced to slow everything down. So we now have enough time to appreciate that third point, appreciation, to appreciate nature, to appreciate sunset and sunrise, to appreciate the fact that we have food on the table, to appreciate that we still have life. So appreciation become a big part of our happiness. Now the third thing is that now we have more negative emotion than positive emotion, because when you stay home, cooped up in a place with your wife, your children, you have no place to escape, no distraction, they're more likely to have arguments. The arguments become more frequent. And also, the things you like to do, you can no longer do. So it's natural for people to feel anxious, angry, frustrated, helpless, hopeless. So the old Broaden and Build theory of positive emotion no longer work very well, because we have difficulty getting positive emotion. Okay? So therefore, the new psychology of suffering is mindful acceptance. Accepting life as it is. Accept other people, knowing all their weaknesses, accept people as they are. So this acceptance is not passive resignation. To accepting really takes a lot of learning, a lot of endurance, a lot of toughness to be able to accept. Another research on mindfulness demonstrates how important mindful acceptance is important for well-being. The other part is that meaning, okay? Now, we all have our weaknesses. We feel we're so helpless. Everything is bad. Where can we get jobs? I can't do this, can't do that. You bring, oh yeah, I am depressed. My brain is sick. My hormone is bad. Bring your hormone, bring your brain. You still get stuck. You're still miserable. So the main part is saying that you can transform your weakness into your strength. Now that's very comforting and very inspiring, that all your weaknesses, you can make the best use of your weaknesses into your strength. For example, when you're frustrated, then you learn endurance, you learn acceptance, you learn to pray, you learn to seek help. So you can turn weakness into strength. Finally, we're facing a certain future. We may have lost our job. We don't know where we can find another job. When you look at the future, you feel it's difficult to be optimistic, to be hopeful, when you got rejection all the time, nothing goes your way. So now you can still believe that a better future is possible. You'll be able to transcend your own limitations, transcend your weaknesses. You're able to self-transcend and believe in yourself, believe in other people, believe in God and higher power. The power of belief is more powerful, more stronger than all the negative forces. You believe that you can create or co-create a better future, then you'll do it. You do not believe, then get stuck. So therefore, the six aspects of resilient mindset can be called TRAMP: toughness, vulnerability, appreciation, mindful acceptance, meaning, and belief. So with the resilient mindset, you can face the world and move forward with confidence and create a better future. I hope that message can lift your spirit and fight another day.
Thank you so much for that, sir. I mean, those are absolutely amazing concepts. The whole sort of transitional mindset and building of a resilient mindset is in a really sort of positive endurance framework with the believing mindset, responsible mindset, appreciative mindset, mindful mindset, meaning mindset, and tough mindset. All those six tenets of core resilience building within human beings is so important at this present moment in time. And thank you so much for giving really good examples, and obviously, actually in depth explaining the driving forces that would allow an individual to actually accomplish that as well. Thank you so much for that insightful overview of the actual profound model that you've developed. How would you build and broaden this resilient mindset, obviously within the framework, and how would you sort of make sure that I know you have the absolutely amazing deep and widening hypothesis as well. I'm just trying to bring in a bit of positive psychology there. Considering those two concepts, how would you sort of amalgamate them and really move forward with this resilient mindset in these current sort of very unprecedented
Yeah.
circumstances that we're living in?
Okay. Now the key to second wave parapsychology is based on the assumption that life is tough, the world is full of suffering and evil. So therefore, my approach complements parapsychology. My second wave parapsychology complement the first wave parapsychology. Like instead of talking about broaden and build, I talk about deep and wide. So the six components of resilient mindset all focus on digging deeper into your resources, looking deeper into yourself, that deep down that you have a spiritual core, that looking deep down that there is the spiritual aspect of you. So the whole concept is that when you get deeper, then you can also go broader by going beyond yourself, to seeing yourself as part of ecosystem, part of humanity, and part of this wonderful spiritual world. So it don't just talk about broaden and build your positive emotion. I'm talking about making use of everything. You make use of negative emotion, transform your weaknesses, and seeking help, and praying to God. So by digging deeper, then you can live life and enjoy life in a deeper way. Therefore, you can have inner joy and inner peace even when everything goes wrong. So mature happiness means that your ability to have some sense of contentment, some kind of inner peace, even when you have a lot of negative emotions at the same time. So second wave parapsychology saying is not to undoing the negative emotion or avoiding negative emotion. We know the avoiding strategy is bad for your mental health. We're talking about accept the negative emotion, coexist with negative emotion, and learn how to live with danger, how to live with people who annoy you or frustrate you, how to live with all the bad things, and still deep down develop a capacity of contentment. So my approach to broaden and build is deep and wide.
Thank you so much, sir, for that really profound words that you can sort of obviously build and broaden your resilient mindset through the deepening widening process. As we stand today as positive psychology practitioners, how can we advocate this magnificent theory for positive well-being for all? Because obviously it's something that yourself, sir, has developed. How can we really sort of bring it forward as professionals like yourself and other sort of professionals, how can we really sort of really bring it to light so that it is a constructive and effective use of the magnificent theory that you've developed?
So my message to all the parapsychology practitioners is this. So parapsychology is not just a set of tools and skills and knowledge. And parapsychology, from the existential point of view, is a way of living. So you can help people to be strong and healthy and happy in difficult times unless you have experienced yourself. So most of my clients find me helpful because they say, oh, you're so inspiring. If we can do it, we can do it too. So my advice to parapsychology practitioner is that they should learn again to cultivate the inner resources and learn how to transform their weaknesses. We don't just meet the pandemic with our strength or with fun, with joy. We also, more importantly, we need to meet the pandemic with our weaknesses, with our negative emotions, and know how to turn our negative emotion, turn our weakness into our strength. So therefore, the strongest strength is based on transforming weaknesses and negative emotions. So now, this is simply a paradox. Unless you have experienced it and achieved it yourself, you can't help other people. So that is my advice.
Thank you so much, sir. I totally resonate with that because obviously simply by just acknowledging your strengths, that's not suffice enough. And to actually acknowledge your weaknesses and to overcome them, and then to actually then, find something that was useful from your weaknesses to actually progress and develop that growth mindset is a process. And obviously by doing so, as any professionals out there, you're learning something about yourself. And obviously it starts from yourself, and then you can then implement it to people around you. Thank you so much for that insight. What words would you like to leave us with? Obviously, it's an absolutely amazing experience every time I actually talk to yourself. What final words of wisdom would you leave for us out there so that we can sort of visualize a positive well-being for all?
So my last word is that I invite everybody to look more into the second wave parapsychology or existential parapsychology, because it really fills a gap in parapsychology. The existential parapsychology is for times of war and adversity. The original parapsychology is for time of peace and prosperity. So with two parapsychology, we complete the circle of positivity. In other words, we can be happy and strong and successful even when everything goes in the wrong way. My life example, I have experienced so many rejections, obstacles, and so I've been attacked by so many people. I'm still going strong. So my life is a demonstration that the existential parapsychology works. So I invite you people to look into my website, drpaulwong.com, and look into existential parapsychology, Minna.ca, so it will help you to have more tools to help suffering people. Okay. Bye-bye.
So much, sir. Much appreciated. And you're absolutely amazing for leaving us with the whole sort of concept of the second phase of positive psychology and how we should embrace the whole sort of umbrella of humanistic existential psychology out there. So thank you so much, sir, for your time. And I wish yourself and everyone well. And thank you so much for coming onto the Positive Wellbeing Association platform. Thank you, sir.
Bye.